Hey everybody, good morning Dana.
Good morning.
I'm Steffi, welcome to the Love Seat. Very happy to be here, very happy to have you. Just a quick little introduction about who we are, what we do. I personally am a facilitator by trade. I help people through the plant world access aspects of their subconscious and their self that perhaps they don't have access to with a rational thinking mind. So that's what I do, that's me.
And I'm Dana Sardano. I am owner of Ubuntu Fish Gallery that we are sitting in right now. Just to give you a little background of who I am, if you haven't seen any previous videos, I am a career educator gone rogue turned artist, active, and found myself in this space. Give you a little bit of a backstory. I was an educator, administrator, tutor for about 25 years, actually 23 years. And then when I left my career, I did a little part-time stint for 2 years to keep the lights on and pay for Costco and keep my husband from having a nervous breakdown. But the moral of the story is I had a career doing one thing, figured out about 5 years ago that I could paint, and followed that passion, desire, urge, and now found myself here. It's a beautiful little story, but we'll table it for another time. But anyway, that's me. That's my backstory. Here we are on the Love Seat. Dana Sardano, Steffi Star. Take it, Steffi.
Good morning. So I already kind of walked in the door and just kind of hit the ground running with what was going on today with me. And again, our goal is to talk about topics that are relative to us, vis-a-vis our disparate and yet similar outlook on what we are, why we're here, what most people would term spirituality. But I think for Dana and myself, we've actually come to understand that it's also completely intertwined. We are spiritual entities. We are spiritual infinite beings. So how do I separate what I am from what I do and how I live? And for the two of us, I think in a lot of ways, we've kind of stopped trying to separate all that. It is what it is.
Can I?
Yeah, please jump in.
So if you've heard me get on my soapbox before, I have this thing with the term spirituality and the mentality of spirituality. A lot of people who follow the spiritual route path, they do it because they have an issue with religion. Right? So this is the way religion is done, and we are going to separate ourselves from that because we believe we're spiritual beings and we don't have to follow that religious route. However, it becomes just one person's opinion. It becomes religious when it becomes ritualistic, and it becomes judgmental, and it becomes do it this way and you will
That's right.
Reach enlightenment or happiness or whatever it is that it is that you're looking for. And Steffi and I, even though we have we come from different places in our belief system, we are similar in that we understand that really all it really is, as far as we're concerned, is living on this planet and being well physically, being well emotionally, being well mentally, being well financially, being well in our relationships. And in order to be well, we have to be, right? And we have to be there's all these catchwords, these spiritual catchwords that I catch myself having to use that kind of irk me, but we have to be in our authenticity. But all that really means is just listen to yourself. I call it my emotional guidance system, right? When I get to I go right there.
Yeah.
I go, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. And when I get to ooh, then I follow that. But what happens is we all, if we really pay attention, I didn't mean to go this far. I'm going to wrap this up in a second.
No.
But
perfect.
We all get that. We just kind of ignore it. We all get the, we get that. I always go right here, right? We always get that, ooh, I don't know. You meet somebody and you're like, oh, I'm not sure, right? Or you're like, oh, I want to do that. Like I picked up a paintbrush and I'm like, oh, I have to do this every day from now on forever. And it's really trusting and following that. But what we often do, because we've been conditioned our entire lives, again, it could be childhood conditioning, it could be societal conditioning, it could be religious conditioning, it doesn't matter. It could be the TV telling us stuff, what we're supposed to wear, how we're supposed to look. But we're conditioned. So we get the ooh or the ooh, and then the conditioning comes in and we ignore this and we go with that. And what Steffi and I have learned to do is to ignore that and listen to this. And as a result, we are well. For the most part. Don't misunderstand. Because I have a feeling Steffi's about to go into a tear. Not always. But we are well because we do trust that. And it's not like one day you take a pill or you flip a switch and you're well. It's a constant reminder. I just recently went through a little bit of a change in my life that had been leading up, and the last month has just been a total. And every time I think I got a grip on it, there's like another little wave of, oh, I'm not well with this. Okay, what does this say? And go from there. So that's our idea really of spirituality, just being well by addressing all of the facets that would make us well and being honest about it. And with that said, I will give it back to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Beautiful way to describe exactly what we're talking about, why we're here, why we feel compelled to share our experience, our authenticity, our being with you. Because we don't get this anywhere. There really is nowhere to go to get like this realism.
To get honesty?
Yeah. So having said all that, yes, I am about to go on a tear because I walked in talking about my eyes are puffy and I look like I went on a bender last night, and I've never had an issue with alcohol per se. I enjoy it. I enjoy it in a healthy way, as do so many people. But to be quite frank, I have had a lifetime of what most people would call food dependency or food addiction. I don't really care for those terms because at the end of the day, I do my best to live presently. And that vernacular just implies this is what you've always been, this is what you're always going to be, and if you can find this nanosecond of freedom, you're doing well. For me, that is not true. I live a life, by and large, for the most part, that is extraordinarily present. I am in this moment for the most part all the time. And what's come before, as long as I can take the lesson from that and utilize it in my now, for me, that's called living eternity. I don't really pay attention. To me, there is no past. There's only ever this moment. There really is no future. There's only this moment. So having said all that, yesterday I really struggled with food. And recently, I've really been struggling with food. It's been a recurring progression because there's certain things I don't normally allow into my diet. But they're delicious. It's wheat. Wheat is amazing. Wheat is an opiate. I've actually written a book. I am also an author and a public speaker. And I've written a book on how I used to be 350 pounds. And over the course of a year, at age 47, I was perimenopausal. I had a low-functioning thyroid for which I refused to be treated. Again, ex-healthcare worker, not even going to get into pills and doctors and hospitals at this point. That's a whole nother show for a whole nother day, literally. But I realized through all my research, Dr. William Davis, the cardiologist, wrote this incredible book, Wheat Belly, was part of my research. But Grain Brain, there's so much info out there about how wheat actually is an opiate. It's the only food product that when metabolized by our system crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's received by our opiate receptors. Little known fact. So if wheat's an opiate and I allow it back into my diet, I do find that it has that compulsive, addictive response. Then I want more wheat, whether or not I'm hungry. And yesterday I ate about 6 cupcakes. I ate 6 cupcakes from Publix. I'm just going to cop to it here because our secrets make us sick. I remember that from Overeaters Anonymous, which, you know, is what it is, but not about the OA.
I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah. 6 cupcakes and two Burger King meals.
Oh, no. Go on.
I don't even eat meat. Like, normally I don't eat animal products. Yesterday was a shit show. I'm just going to be honest. Yesterday went so shit sideways, and I'm going to tell you why. This is another topic I've wanted to discuss on this show, and it is our need as a species, as people, and I'm going to speak for myself right now, for approval. And it's so funny. I'm going to let you get it out, sister girl. Are you done now?
No, because that's how I roll. I'm like, I just have one piece of candy. Next thing I know, I got the whole chocolate around the mouth, I'm like.
Thank you for copping to that.
I just did 2 for 1s. I waited till February 15th. Oh, you don't see it every day. I'm like, Rob, did you get the candy for Valentine's Day? He's like, no. I'm like, good. February 15th. I'm like, I get 2 for 1. So I bought the 2 Russell Stovers, and I'd be like, hey kids, hey kids, you want a piece of candy? And he'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, 1 for you, 3 for. Oh no, I'm disgusting. I'm with you. So go on. Okay.
So I'm like ready to cry for real because
I'm with you.
There's
for sure.
so much shame around this, and if you have this experience, if this has been part of your history, if this is part of like your coping mechanism, because at the end of the day, it's about
my feelings.
It's about eating through what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I recently started doing some very deep work on my need for approval and how that shows up in my life. In particular around relationships with men. A whole nother show for a whole nother day, but I'm just being quite honest here. This is our job. We showed up, we agreed to be authentic. And this is for me, this work on needing approval and how I get it and how that translates into my life and how it causes me to behave in particular around heterosexual, romantic, male dynamic. It's messy. It's not been pretty. And I am aware, which is like the miracle. That's the cure. I'm aware that these are my patterns, that there is an issue at this point in my life. So I've been doing work. Mad props to Byron Katie. She wrote a book entitled I Need Your Love, Is That True? And this is basically a workbook through this idea of approval seeking. Mine's very specific to romantic heterosexual male relationships, but we all are out here looking for approval. We're looking for approval from our bosses. We're looking for approval from our children. We're looking for approval from our parents. So this need for approval transcends the individual expression of that, the individual relationship in which we're seeking approval. And what I'm learning is it causes me to behave in ways that aren't healthy for me, aren't healthy for the relationship. And my willingness to see this, my awareness around it, is the thing that's going to ultimately take me out of that need for approval. And in doing this work, food was like, you need cupcakes. You need candy. You deserve to feel better. I deserve to feel better. Let me jam 2 chicken sandwiches down my throat and 6 cupcakes, because I can tell you after that, I didn't feel better. Big shock. I felt like I had just shot up like a syringe of heroin.
And the self-loathing.
And then it was, oh my God, I'm disgusting, like you just said. And I so appreciate you chiming in and being copping to the chocolates and the 1 for you, 3 for me, because, you know, you feel alone.
And if you eat it over the sink.
I'm sitting in my little tiny apartment that I live in. I'm a minimalist, so everything's like tiny around me, which I love until I'm in that space. And then like the tininess becomes almost part of the shame, and nobody can see me, but I don't need anybody to see me. I see myself, and I am that I am. So it's the whole universe seeing me do this, and that was my perception yesterday. So puffy, I feel like crap, my jeans are tight. When your panties are tight, listen, that's so not cool. And maybe this doesn't relate to you. I don't know.
Oh, it does.
I needed to get this off my chest. I needed to talk about this today. Thank you for letting me do that. It's not about how I look at the end of the day, whether my eyes are puffy or not. I'm still Steffi Star. I'm still Source Energy. I still show up in my life magnificent, wonderful, terrifying, all the adjectives, all the spectrum of human behavior. I'm still that. I'm still all of that. But this little thing, this thing I do with food for comfort, this underlying need for approval that has driven me to behavior patterns over the course of my life, I needed to air that out today. I needed to say that out loud. I need you to know you're not alone. I need you to know that awareness and willingness resolves everything. There are books and people. That Byron Katie book, again, I highly recommend it. If you find yourself where I am, if any of this resonates with you, if any of this sounds familiar, this thing with food is traced back to my need for approval. And I don't know how much more we want to go down that road, but I appreciate saying it out loud, and it's cathartic and it's confessional in an interesting way, and I'm just hoping that outing with all that kind of gets me to not do that to myself today.
I'm totally judging you.
I'm in a. I know you're not. I know you're not, because that's not what you are and that's not who you are. But I needed to say all that, so thank you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I just want to add a little piece to it.
Yeah, please.
And I'm not going to get into a whole body image thing. Again, that's for another day. We want to keep these relatively short and sweet. But I always think about, all right, so I have two little girls. One is 9, one is 10. So when I was pregnant with Nala, the 10-year-old, so 10 years ago, I was probably at like the height of my, forgive me for saying this, my awesomeness, right? I was in awesome shape. I was kickboxing. I was running. I had a motorcycle. I was single. We don't need to get into the judgment of how that whole pregnancy thing went down.
I'm judging you.
Thank you.
No,
but anyway, I was like at the height of everything. So when I started as soon as I got pregnant, I was like, oh my God, Dairy Queen every day. Isn't that what we do? Right? It was total freedom. But that's not the point of the story. Every time I go to the doctor, my weight would go up. It got so bad after a while that like, she put me on a diet. I was like, who puts pregnant women on a diet? Kind of funny. But anyway, as my weight was increasing, I was watching the numbers on the scale. Oh my God, I can't remember the last time my weight was that high. Oh my God, I've never been that number before. Oh my God, I just broke a record here. And I was watching my weight go up. And even though I knew I was pregnant, there was shame in it. There was that, oh my God, like, how did I just become invisible to the world around me? Oh my God. And all of these feelings of shame, and I don't have to get into them because if you're connecting with any of this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But here's what I found interesting. After I gave birth to Nala, and I was now back to working out and trying to lose weight, etc., I would go to the doctor and I watched the weight go down. And I remember this one number, and I'm not going to get into the numbers because I'm not yet in that comfortable space to start talking about my weight, talking about the numbers. That's like one of the last pieces of things I need to shave off. But I remember seeing this number thinking, holy crap, I can't believe I weigh that much, and feeling like unhappy and just uncomfortable about it. But I remember that same number when the scale was going down and what a celebration it was when I hit that number. And I had that realization in that moment that, oh my God, it's all here. Yeah. It's all here. Yeah. It's all how we feel about ourselves. Right. Because I know when I'm doing that thing where I'm like, ooh, I really need to go on a diet. And then like that day that I decide to diet and then I eat something I shouldn't eat and I beat myself up for it. And then the next day I'm like, oh, I need to go on a diet. And there's this whole battle and this whole self-loathing thing. And I've gotten better about it with age, but it still exists. But then there's those 3 days in a row that you've dieted, or we won't call it diet, that you've made healthy choices and you've done what you're supposed to do.
That you didn't have 1 for you, 3 for me.
Exactly.
As soon as you stop doing that.
And when you have
an expectation.
And when you have a day or 2 or 3 of those in a row, for me, all of a sudden in my head, I am just thin and gorgeous and all of these things, and I look exactly the same as I did 3 days ago. So at the end of the day, it's all here. Yeah. So what it really comes down to, and Steffi said it perfectly, is she recognized this is not about cupcakes. 6.
Holy shit.
And I'm with you, man. Listen, that box of Russell Stovers didn't last more than 2 days. So let's not. The kids are like, I only had 1 of those. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway. So,
I love it.
So, but it's not, what it's about is Steffi's understanding of where it comes from. Yeah. And it's about what I was talking about, now I'm looking at the thing maybe 15, 14 minutes ago, about this idea of being well here, being well here, being well outwardly. So the moral of all of this is we all have an unhealthy pattern or 2 or 3 that we are shameful of and that we're in denial about and that we try to ignore or we try to make excuses for. And it could be anything from smoking to gambling to whatever it is, flirting when you're in a monogamous relationship and then you convince yourself that, it's okay because there was or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you're doing something dishonest and you really need to address what kind of worthiness issue that comes from. So I think that rather than move on to another topic, we should kind of round this one, we should close this one and move on. But, for sure. But I think the message, and I'm going to give you obviously the opportunity to speak, but I think the message that we want to leave you with is when you sense yourself in this pattern, try to have the courage to look at it, be honest with yourself, let go of the shame because we're all going through it, and really try to get to the root of it. Yeah, I could throw a Band-Aid on things all I want and count my calories and watch what I eat, but that's really, the Band-Aid is not the answer. It's, why do I eat my feelings? What do I need? Where is this coming from? Why do I not have healthier coping mechanisms? Because English is my first language, by the way. Mechanisms. Why? Why is that? And what can I do? Where did that come from? And I'm not saying wallow in the past, but where did that come from? And now allow me to address it. And we're all doing it on the regular. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty well-adjusted person, just in general. But every day is another learning of the 6 cupcake marathon here. and continuing to work on being well adjusted. And that's I'm going to get off my soapbox and let you conclude.
So yeah, in closing around this, just being able to express myself out loud, just saying it, hearing myself say it, knowing now that I have said it to at least Dana, if not
and the
multiple other people, and our 2 constant viewers. Very grateful for you. The shame goes away. So what I felt last night after
nothing is as scary as it is what's in here.
No. It's all arbitrary. It's all the 6-inch space between my ears. There is no whole wide world. It's one of my favorite mantras. There's no whole wide world. There's only the world as it occurs in the 6-inch space between my ears, and that just got cleaned out. That just was, I took a broom to it with the words, sitting here listening to my sister and my friend talk about how this is ubiquitous, it's universal, it transcends the number on the scale, it transcends the quantity of the cupcakes, that at the end of the day, thank you, this is about, I'm a 5, by the way, so that 6 is, I don't have to worry about the 6. This is about why. And that they're the only 3 letters. That's the only number that matters is WHY. Why did I do it? Am I willing to dig down into that? Am I willing to navigate that space and do the work and the healing that is required to keep me from doing that to myself today? Today's all I have. Today's all I'm worried about. I don't care about tomorrow, next week. I can't even afford to go there. Am I going to care for myself today with my food choices? And I am, because I got all that out. So secret's
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And tomorrow's a new day also.
And tomorrow will be what tomorrow is. But I can't get to tomorrow.
Yeah, you're
today.
Right now. Yeah,
I'm a present person. That's what it's about. Yeah, and it's early. I got hours to go. But yeah, I'll definitely catch you up and let you know how the day went. But thank you for listening. Thank you for your wisdom and listening. And that's
awesome.
it.
And thank you for joining us on the Love Seat.
Absolutely. Have a great day. We love you.